Hey everyone, I just want to give it another minute or so just for some last minute people to join the live session, but we have a good show for you today. We'll just give it another minute or so. Hey everybody, I just wanted to welcome everyone to our Learn with Mage series. Today we're going to be learning more about how you can partner with Mage. But I'm Cole Freeman, a developer advocate at Mage, and today we're going to be exploring how data consultants are using Mage Pro to deliver exceptional results to their e-commerce clients. I just wanted to bring something up for some housekeeping. LinkedIn and YouTube are generally on a 1 to 2 minute delay. So please type in any of your questions as they come to you, and we'll kind of answer them as they go or wait till the end for those questions to answer those questions. So with that fair warning, I'm excited to introduce Ondřej Buzek. He's a former business intelligence director at Pilulka. Excuse me for if I butchered that, but it's a leading online Czech health retailer. And he's recently turned BI consultant and freelancer. Andre specializes in delivering end-to-end BI solutions to small and medium-sized enterprises across Europe with an impressive track record at companies like Rohlik, Groupon, and Genesis Capital's PFX studios. What sets him apart is his financial management background. He's exceptionally skilled at extracting business insights from ERPs and different accounting systems. And he also lectures at the Prague University of Economics and Business on applied data analytics. Andre's been leveraging Mage Pro's DBT core integration to transform e-commerce data into actionable insights for multiple of his clients. So today we're going to explore Ondrej's consulting journey and see how DBT plus Mage Pro is solving complex problems for his online retailer clients.
So Ondřej, hi Cole, hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
quite the praise, I must say. I'm having trouble not to blush,
But, well, it's great to have you on. I think you will be your story and how you have used Mage Pro will benefit a lot of our our people in the consulting space will be able to hear more about your journey, how you came into consulting, and they'll benefit a lot from your story.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. If I missed anything on your background or got anything wrong, please let me know or let us know. Anything about your background and how you kind of got into e-commerce data consulting.
I think you pretty much summed it up. Thanks for that. like in general, like recently I've been asked, or I had like a sort of a mock interview for a management role at a company. It was, nothing serious, just an initial meet. And the person sitting across me, they told me, that my CV and my professional journey is very much fragmented. That I was, accountant here and controller there and finance manager there, and then suddenly, BI analyst and consultant and manager. But in my eyes, it's not actually fragmented. In my eyes, I've spent my life, like academical and career wise, of looking at ways to measure the performance of companies and to detect when that performance like has issues. So yeah, like the only thing that changes is maybe the tech stack and the way it's like handled. But at the root core, I'd say it's yeah, that's sort of my big passion. Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like you had a like a good base in finance or accounting before you became a data analyst or a BI engineer, whatever you want to call it now. And I think a lot of people will benefit from working a career or maybe two different careers before becoming a data, before getting involved in data. I mean, for me, I was a cop before becoming a data analyst or an analytics consultant, I guess you could say. And that led into working in Mage as well. So I think having that a base career before coming into data analytics is definitely beneficial for people. But so what's kind of drawing you specifically to the e-commerce data consulting space over other industries? And I know you'll take clients from different industries, but it seems like you have a kind of a niche built in e-commerce data consulting.
Yes, well, I guess that all originates with with the start of my business intelligence career at Pilulka, because that was an e-commerce player, and it definitely formed me a lot. And as they say, once you step into e-commerce, sort of you're forever e-commerce. It's a thing of a it's like the area is quite peculiar. It's very specific. The rules and the principles that work like in general business do not always apply in e-commerce. It's a very aggressive, very fast-paced environment where you have to really like literally fight for every decimal percentage point of gross margin. And it has like some like things that you won't encounter elsewhere. There's a huge amounts of transactional data. So if you're in other industries and you sort of make a so-so data pipelines and a so-so data warehouse, it will work, and it will work probably well for the next 10-15 years. However, in the big e-commerce players in Europe right now, they grow at a 30-40% rate, between the years. And if you suddenly, 1 year you have a 60 gigabyte table, and next year it's 90 gigabytes, and then it's 240, and
Yeah.
they're like every sort of shortcut that you take in doing it right will then like, punish you quite a lot and pretty fast. Yeah.
Yeah, are you seeing that amongst your clients? Like, what is the most common challenge you see with e-commerce companies and kind of either their data stack or how their data warehouse is modeled? What do you see them
So
struggling?
there are like two things that come to mind right off the bat. One would be that uh, since it's a very like fast-paced environment, there's a tendency to get things done quickly, fast, and not giving proper attention to the long-term impacts, and to the sort of strategy like point of view. So you would you would have a problem, you would hotfix it, and on top of that hotfix you would add another one and another one, and 3 years fly by, and suddenly you end up with an infrastructure of a that it's breaking. It's very complex. You have to employ tens of full-time employees to sort of debug it and to at least ensure some sort of continuity of the reports and of the reporting. So that's one thing, and another thing which is pretty much connected to this is that there's a tendency, as it's fast, they want to see always like results very quickly, and often it's easier to say that a certain technology or a certain tool is the cause of the problems. It's easier to budget, right? You get a price tag, you sort of budget the migration, you announce it, you with a big bang, you change the technology, and that's sort of again like has a tendency to like for them to oversee that the real problem is in fact in the fundamentals. It's in sort of giving the business a structure, sort of asking, why did this happen, what it causes, like how that cause originates, asking the 5 whys and other like mental like tools or procedures that you would take to sort of do it well. So that's so then I, like, in practice, 1 year back I was working on a big project, and I noticed that whenever I was using data from the data warehouse, I would do like 3 huge joins, and that's like if you have to do 3 like major joins to get any sort of information, and you do that 90% of the time, then probably those joins should be done within the data warehouse, and that sort of would like should be a trigger to like go back, rethink, and deploy.
Yeah, definitely. Do you find yourself doing a lot of data modeling for your clients? Um,
Yes, I guess I guess it's 50-50. My clients are usually smaller firms that have grown to a point that they cannot sustain like their business and their management based on spreadsheets and like really legacy processes. But they are not yet big enough to sort of be able to hire a BI manager and a senior analyst and data engineer and 2 juniors maybe. That's like 5 people like per year. It's quite the sum of money. So that's sort of where I come in, and I tell them, hey guys, I ask them like what's their situation, where they're going, what they expect, and then like I would do like a workshop with the particular teams and sort of isolate which metrics they should be sort of looking at, and then based on that, like I would build the data warehouse, download all the different systems that are necessary for that, build the models, and deliver the reports. So like time wise, I'd say modeling would be somewhere between like 40 to 50% of my time that I spend on development. But of course, like from the client side, usually they appreciate the report, and the report, like, it's a paradox that it's like a thing that you do in 10-15 minutes if the data is right. So yeah, it's always a like a balance between like doing cool visuals and then doing the core structure and the data architecture
yeah,
that
I
is not
think
that much visible. Yeah.
I think clients have gotten used to what e-commerce delivers for us, which is near immediate like satisfaction, right? Like you make an order from an online retailer, you expect it. We've had this conversation before. You kind of expect it next day at the latest.
Mhm.
So I think that clients wanting that kind of that immediate report or that immediate satisfaction to have data analyzed is kind of a conundrum, because you want to have good data, right? You want to have viable data or data you can trust, and building the model takes time. Um, so you may not always be able to deliver on that promise. Um,
That's something that like I think it would be good to point out, and like from all the listeners who like are in the business and are sort of seasoned, it won't be like nothing new, but I think all will agree that it's important to stress this out, is that like for a company to like become data driven, it's not a state, it's not a like one project or one big delivery that you make, but it's a because like there's no big bang, there's no sort of do a bit of vibe coding and sprinkle it on with AI and suddenly it will solve all our problems. um, but in reality, I see that the clients that like are successful are those that are like being able to be like consistent and to like continuously not only sort of go for the quick wins, but to also think about maintaining a structure. They are willing to participate on building the documentation little by little and sort of increasing the awareness. And like companies that manage to like invest into it like continuously, gradually, albeit by small increments. So after 3 years, they suddenly have a very clear, clean, and very reliable like data solution and reporting, and they are sort of like almost on autopilot, right? So that's something that seems to me that also I feel that in e-commerce there is much less like there's a lot of pressure on results, and it's like that much harder sort of to keep like enough attention on the fundamentals. And that's usually what I sort of bring. I say, hey guys, I understand that you want this done by tomorrow, right? But we need to sort of build it right and not have to redo it all over and over again in 3 months time.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I guess kind of changing gears here, but from a business perspective, and you can talk about this from your own business, your own Nuber Analytics business perspective, or you can talk about it from a business perspective of a client as well, or both. But how has using Mage Pro kind of affected your ability to scale your clients' data needs, or for you to scale, like to use multiple clients?
Like honestly, if it were not for Mage, I don't think I would be on the path on which I am now. I spent a lot of time, and that's like maybe half a year, really intensely looking and trying out all the different tools available. Yeah, because I knew that if I were to focus on smaller clients, I would need to do it efficiently. I like the projects, they would not earn for a project manager and like three analysts and an engineer and an architect and so forth, right? That's like that would sort of, I would not be competitive. So I was looking for a tool that would help me keep all the orchestration under one roof. I tried Airflow. There I got a bit depressed of how little I was able to debug the problems there, and so then I looked into more like business user tools, the not like more of a drag and drop. But there I like sort of got like stopped by the limits given by that sort of build. For instance, when you have a drag and drop connector, there's just so few things that you can maybe tweak, and like my clients, they usually have some local ERPs. Some of the ERPs, they would not even have documentation. Like I have really emails from their support sort of telling me, yeah, we don't have documentation, we don't have time for that. Some of them would like have like APIs that would have a very small throughput, so you would like really need to tweak how many records you can call and iterate through that and build it and so forth. And next to all of this, because the centerpiece of my sort of solutions is Google BigQuery, I needed something that will be able to trigger jobs in BigQuery and sort of like put all of that in one pipeline. And Mage was one of the tools, of the few tools out there that was able to do this. And then when I started using it, I just I really liked it. It's like it's built that it sort of drives simplicity, but when you need to become complex, when there's complexity, you can actually like you have the tooling there, right? You can write your Python, you can sort of do whatever loops and dynamic blocks, and there's like a whole scale of tools that you can use. And yeah, and I mean, so far, Mage worked for all of my clients. This year, I'm building the 7th data warehouse just this year, and Mage is just awesome. And the more I use it, and it's like the easier it is to deploy. And even now, some of the clients are using Mage, I think 3rd year in a row, and it just works. It works. It's like the price, the bang for buck ratio is like also very good. Yeah, so I guess that's I once I tried Mage, stuck with it since then.
That's really awesome, and it's been great to see you grow over time. And I can only see more growth in your future for sure.
Thanks. And I must call out to Shayu, the senior developer. I still have very fond memories of our discussions late in the night, and I really appreciate her always finding the time to help me out. And I guess that's I must say is one of those selling points for Pro, which I like perceive as the strongest, and that's the level of support and the agility of the Mage team is something that you just don't see that often, and it's something I really value.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that, and it's good to hear that. It's good to hear you're happy. That's for sure. So one thing you mentioned in your last kind of statement there was having a tool that has everything under one roof, basically. And I know you're a DBT user within Mage. So I was wondering if you could share a success story where you combined both DBT and Mage Pro in a
Mhm.
solution, and you were able to solve a critical business problem for one of your clients.
Okay, sure thing. I have here a story. I think this use case will be better. So let me uh, share the window.
Okay.
There we go. I made a slideshow. I hope you don't mind. So this case, it's actually a very recent case, and I think it will underline like the agility and this like the fast paced like speed that is. I wouldn't say like that Mage does not limit you. It's not the limiting factor. Like when you need to deliver, it like Mage. It's almost like it gives you so much freedom that it's like it's almost not there, and it all sort of gets like the only limit that you have is your own like coding and like thinking abilities. So yeah, here this is a real life case from just last week. I had one of my clients, this BFX Studios. They are a major player here in the CE in the film industry. They like you'll probably recognize many of these clips from the movies. They do animation and visual effects, and they have like recently acquired several like independent studios in Central Europe. So we have a layout where we have some 6 countries, maybe 10 legal entities, each of them with an accounting system, with an HR system, and so forth. And I got the call from the CFO. He told me if I could, that he has a like a tingling that there may be some economical benefits, like if we were to analyze the median hourly rate, right? Because in this business, you would have artists, you would have, people that are able to, edit the video and do their visual effect magic. And across the European Union, it's easy to like make multinational projects, right? So like if you have a big project, you would be able to say, okay, so the music part, let's sort of task it to the team in Germany, and then this other part can be done by another country, and so forth. So the task was to make a quick analysis of the hourly salaries across the regions. And with Mage, I sort of I thought, well, so let's give it a try. It was a Friday afternoon, and I was like thinking, I have nothing better to do. So I sat down. I built this sort of pipeline where I would like ask the HR system through an API. I would get the list of employees and their roles, and the organizational structure and so forth. Then I would like do a quick transform, because in some of the fields I would have like nested JSON, so I would sort of unnest them and fix the date, time formats and so forth. And then export it to BigQuery, right? And like just by doing this, so that this is maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or maybe half an hour, just to get all the settings of the API correctly, and you have, data in BigQuery. And then to get the salaries, I would just from the same output, which, after every block, I would see the output. I could verify if it's doing what I expect it to do or not. I would then get like a unique list of the employee IDs, and then I would like loop through them and ask for each of the salaries for each of the employee, like the salary rates that they have in the HR system. And again, a quick transformer block, and boom, exported into BigQuery. And this way I have like the full ingest of the two tables that I need to make this analysis. And and like after that, I don't have it here, but like what I would do is once I made an SQL query in my like data sort of, I use DataGrid, but any database explorer would work, or in the BigQuery IDE. I would then build the query to sort of calculate what we need, and then I would just add here a dbt block. I would like link this dependency and this dependency to it, and I would be able just then to go up here, add a trigger, and voila, right? So that's what I eventually did. So then in BigQuery, I made a query. I sort of hit these two parts, but we have two subselects, and then we aggregate it. We build an average, we build a median, and some variance. And yes, and then we just group it. We would add a condition to sort of have at least 3 data points for every combination of a company and a job title. And we would also like see the amount of persons in that particular set, if we were to call it this way. And yeah, and this condition is important to anonymize the data. And once I like ran a few checks and like verify that the data is correct, I would then go and just connect it into Looker Studio, which is a free tool, and I would get like the across the countries, like what's the situation where the rates are like more favorable and where they are not. And like this end to end like would took me maybe like 2 hours at most, like including coffee break.
That's
Yeah, like
that's really impressive, because you've got like at least a 10 block pipeline there that took you 2 hours from request to delivery. That's very impressive.
I must say it's because that Bamboo HR has a very good API and has like a pristine documentation, so it's super fast to do anything with that API. Like yeah, I can very well imagine situations like without proper documentation where you would just iterate the whole day through the different combinations of parameters and like hope that something will come out of that. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just checking to see if you had anything additional you wanted to share from your screen or anything like that.
I mean, I guess I have a second. So let me share again. I have like a second use case where I sort of just wanted rather to show the like the approach, I guess, like the sort of the mental mindset, because this is something that I also encounter a lot in practice, that like the analysts or the BI, engineers, business analysts, that they would sort of, they would like literally take a ticket in Jira and just do it, and not sort of not think, what's happening behind that request, what's driving that request. And so I have a use case here on inventory efficiency. So DIO stands for days of inventory outstanding. So I won't show you anything revolutionary as of this moment, but I thought that I would just walk you through the way I maybe build it and how I think about it. Yeah,
You,
if that's okay.
you,
Go. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. You may just want to reshare your screen. I think you'll need to
Oh,
reshare.
okay. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
Sharing. No, let's. So can you see the screen? Are we having a technical issue?
Try resharing one more time.
You're in. Okay. Yes. Are we there?
Yep, we're here.
Okay. Awesome. So so here we are. The days of inventory outstanding. It's one of the basic metrics if we want to, know how efficiently are we managing the stock in the warehouse, right? Because that sort of binds cash. The more cash we bind into the stock, the less we can then spend on, I don't know, growth, marketing. So the basic formula here is that we divide the stock value by the cost of goods sold and multiply it by the days of window, like the days in the window that we are evaluating, right? So if this would be the COGS for 60 days, we would then multiply it by 60, and we would get the amount of days in average. How long does random stock sort of stay in the warehouse? So the time between it gets inbound to the time it gets outbound, right? And and then so what I noticed, or what I see often, is that if we look at the stock value, the usually we have a table somewhere in the ERP called inventory or inventory cards or whatever. I called it here inventory dim, where you would have the inventory ID and their value in USD and the quantity right at that spot, right? It would be like a status table. And what I usually see is that when somebody analyzes this, so they would take this value from here, USD, and just use it as a stock value. So they would use the spot value, right? But then if we were to look more into detail and see how really the stock data visualizes what's really happening there, we would see something like this. So this is a typical inventory, the sum of inventory over time. And we can see that there's always a big lorry coming in, and then the sales start. So it has a steep, goes steeply up, and then there's a a gradual decline. Then you'll see little points here and there. So those would be either minor returns or minor orders being then returned, recalls or whatever. And so the and if we were to build a metric like that, just using the spot value, right? So at this point in the middle of February, it would give us a very different number than a few weeks earlier, right? And we can see that the spread is incredible. So so here we have two ways to tackle this, right? Mostly, or often, I would AI would tell me, yeah, do snapshots. It's super easy. Snapshots of this table with the current date is it is a way to go, but I don't like it because often in the scope of my clients, smaller companies growing fast, the production databases change sometimes. So I'll have fields coming in, or some format changes, or there's it's ever moving, and that would sort of fail the pipelines, and I would then have a gap, or it would it doesn't look really well. So I rather choose the way that I would take the status. I would look for the inventory movements, and I would subtract them from this status, and I would go back in time, with the opposite symbol, and I would draw the actual, from the actual status, I would like draw the history back. And this, if, like 10 years back, it would probably be like unthinkable, because just of the like amount of computing, and in some maybe like slower database somewhere in a legacy setup, it would not be maybe optimal. But today with BigQuery, it's just it happens like this. It's super fast. So, and once we have this, of course, it's easy for us to take any time window here and calculate the average of the stock. And if we sort of build it using this logic, we are then able to slice and dice the stock value, based on product, based on the brand, category, whatever you can think of. It gives you a big flexibility. So yeah, and then going back, so if you were then to make a metric directly in Looker Studio and Tableau or anything, so just by having a data set where you would have the date and the sum of, and the product ID, of course, the sum of the stock value at the end of that date, and the sum of cost of goods sold for that particular date. So with this combo, you can actually just send it directly into Looker Studio, or whatever this tool you're using, and you don't even like if we sort of do a bit of algebra here, we can actually cross out the count distinctive dates in that particular window, and we can just divide these two, and we have like a very simple formula. It works, and it's independent of what time frame you sort of filter out. So
That's
that's
awesome. And like, so all the back end, what you're going through here up until, I guess, you're building your dimension table is done in Mage.
Yeah. So in Mage, so first I would like track down the correct tables, provided that I have not yet ingested them into the BigQuery data warehouse. I usually try to just use what I need. So usually I would find out if the client would just open the topic of stock optimization, and we have never done that before, I would probably need to track down the tables that hold that information. It could be 2 tables, it can be many tables, and relationships between them. So I would do the ingest through Mage. I would build the data pipeline. I would do the transformations, like the ETL part of the transformations there, right? So I'd fix the the dates, the decimal numbers, and all that stuff. And then I would ingest it into BigQuery, and then from BigQuery, then I would just use the sheer power of BigQuery to sort of do all the calculations and the analysis. And out of that the outcome would be an SQL query, which then I would put within a DBT block. Once I sort of finished with all the trial and error, and I had the final query, I would then plug it into DBT in Mage and orchestrated it as part of that pipeline. And thanks to that, I have a nice continuity of the tables. So I have usually one pipeline that would go through the ingest of the systems. Sometimes I would split it if there are many of them. And then I would connect another pipeline under it with the DBT transformations. And I would sort of run through the bronze, silver, and gold layers. And since it's all connected in one big DAG, sort of, I actually managed to have it squeezed. It's very efficient, it just happens very fast, and then I have a lot of time overnight, to sort of add other things there, and sort of spread the jobs overnight so that they have the data fresh. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then here I just there's another thing. There's once you have the stock status and the movements, you can actually filter out from the movements all the inbounds, and usually there the inbounds are then the received purchase orders of that particular stock. And again, you can deduct from the actual status the amount. So if we imagine that this here would be a particular product of which we have some certain amount, right? We can then calculate what would be then the optimal amount, and then the difference between this optimal threshold for that particular product and what's the reality, that would be the overstock, which we can then compare to the rest of the, like the base of the, we can like check if our percentage of overstock stock is not like exceeding some reasonable boundaries. And we can even go further and we can say, okay, so if we have 30 units in stock, we can actually go back and look, like do a reverse FIFO and say, okay, so let's look at the latest like order that we received. And it's this one, right? With this one, we purchased like more than we were supposed to. So actually we know now that we should go to order XYZ and search why have we ordered more stock than was necessary or that was recommended. And then we can and we can continue and we can like cycle through like the earlier and earlier and earlier orders. And then we'll actually find out that out of these 30 units, 3 units could be there, sitting for 10 years. I'm exaggerating, right? But then, and this sort of is another way that we can like really go into detail and like find out all those like really, really old like units that are maybe where we have a big historical like lump of inventory, that like gets gradually sold. So if we were to analyze it like globally, nothing would sort of be so much out of order. But if we really like decompose it retrospectively through the individual purchase actions, we can then sort of find out what is that we have actually a substantial amount of stock that has some movement here and there, but not enough, and it's not proportionate. Because this is what I then drew here, is that in e-commerce, and that's a very typical thing of e-commerce. If you would put the products and their sales or margin, their performance, their volume sold, and order it from top to bottom, you would like get this like very sharp curve, right? So you would have like the top 50, 100 products that make 1/3 of your sales. Then there would be like a middle ground, but you'll still be like in the hundreds of products. And then down here you would have this like huge long tail of products that are sold, a few units here, a few units there. It's thousands of products, and they have a very small value. So usually, in the like regular analysis, they like you would focus on the top here. But in fact, if you go and if you sum together all of the slow movers from this like long line, you would then discover that you have actually a substantial amount of money like sitting there and being used inefficiently.
So are you doing like a Pareto analysis here or like a 80/20
Yeah,
analysis?
sure. But that's sort of what I'm saying, is that with the Pareto approach, the analyst would like usually focus on this part over here. But considering the fact that the long tail in e-commerce is like of the products is so long, it actually becomes like material. But it's just like across 5,000 products, let's say. If this was 100, this was 500, and this is then 5,000 maybe. So don't underestimate the long tail. There's money to be found there.
Yeah.
And then once I do this, the model, I plug it into dbt, I orchestrate it through Mage. So then it's a matter of a few minutes, hours to sort of build a quick dashboard. And as long as the logic of the model is sound, and like you have the business substance, you sort of got a grasp of the business substance, you understood it, then it's then you get the information. You can look at the aging groups, you can see what it consists of, and so forth. And you can like have interactive dashboards, say, okay, so let's see what's this thing over here. It's there for pretty long. You would click on it, and it would then show you the detail of the products. You would see when they were bought, who was responsible, and so forth. So it's like good for then tracking down issues.
Yeah, no, this
So
is
yeah.
awesome. I'm really glad. I'm hoping people who are considering being, in the consulting world are definitely watching this. This is like a great kind of showcase of what you may need to do one day, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
it's a tough business. I must say that, sometimes to manage the expectations and sort of not overestimate one's abilities, it's challenging. Like today, everybody wants everything all at once, right now.
yeah, I mean, you essentially go from like one boss or two bosses at a job to like 5 or 10 different bosses basically as a consultant, right? Even though you're working for yourself, you still have somebody to report to,
Like
I guess you could say.
you do, but like if to be really honest, like a few days back, I was like going home like in the evening from my office here, and I just thought that I never spent in my life so many months like being happy from what I do and like feeling well and fulfilled, And even though I probably work even more hours than I did when I was employed, and I was a workaholic back then. Um, like yeah, so I'd say yes, I do have 6 7 10 bosses all at the same time, but um being an external consultant, it seems to me that I get a faster connection to the C level. Yeah.
Hmm.
And here to our listeners, just to be really, transparent and everything. Yes, I am an advocate that the BI pyramid, or the BI like vertical in a company, should be at the same level as commercial, marketing, operations, and so forth, and that like the head of data in a company should optimally be sitting at the table where decisions are made. Because
Yeah,
if he doesn't know what's going on strategically, like helicopter view, he will not be able to like manage the team and direct the team in a way that the company needs. So yeah, and actually, so back to the point earlier, being a consultant, it seems to me that it's like easier for the C level to talk to me, like, and when I, and then it's like, so then I like lose barriers to actually do what I do, to make it happen. And that's something like when I was employed and I had like 2 3 levels of managers between like me and the decision maker. It was tough. Like you had to really convince 3 people, and the higher you went, the less they understood the technical
yeah,
ins and outs. And this way I don't have to explain the technicals, because I just sort it out, and I can just focus on delivering tools for them.
definitely.
Dashboard. Yeah.
Just as we start to wrap things up here, I just wanted to let people know we are on a delay, so please ask any questions that you have as soon as you can in the chats, and we will get to them. Um, but kind of what advice would you give other consultants who are considering looking at like a using a data engineering tool for some of their projects? What are kind of some of the benefits you've seen when you considered Mage, or I guess can you give any consultants any advice on how they should consider Mage Pro?
Mm, well, I think like all in all, I would tell them that the whatever that I like one of the things that I really like value about Mage is that like I don't have a feel of a vendor lock-in. Yeah. And that's something that at least here in the Czech Republic, and possibly in the surrounding Europe, that there's a very high sensitivity for vendor lock. Yeah, like in the 90s, when the communism fell and the markets opened, we had like 5 6 big companies in the BI area that started working here, and they also needed something to trigger and orchestrate their pipelines. And most of them built something custom, something that's theirs, and then they like build a business around like licensing that. And of course, over the years, the license started, to grow, and at a certain point, the companies became frustrated. I think that, or like it originates there. So anyway, today I feel a very big sensitivity to this, and in fact, I see that it's a big selling point that I can sort of come to the company and say, okay, guys, I'm going to help you to create your own organization in the Google Cloud, build your projects that will be owned by that organization. Here there's Confluence also under your organization. Here I will build you the documentation, and please continue, like take it as your own, and make it grow and blossom. And and so with this, and I think that Mage like falls into this very well, since the code is like it's in Python. It's readable, like you don't have to learn a special markup language or any like proprietary things. I mean, yes, there are a few Mage functions that are like built within Mage, and you just like call them, but it's like not something that would sort of block you from moving elsewhere. And in this way, like if you have your instance of Mage and you have it sort of backed up in GitHub or in whatever version control environment, like you have a backup of the business logic of that company, and like an average data analyst engineer, if he like goes through that, he will be able to understand what's there, and that's I guess like the biggest, let's say, like pain point that I see with clients, is that they sort of like rush, or they do like a half-baked job, and then they end up sort of having to dump the whole bunch of hours and headcount and money that was spent on a certain solution just to start it all over, right? And that's sort of where I think that we should make an effort, to build it right, build it once, and for it to last for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So that's really all that we have for today. We're going to give it another minute or so just to see if any last minute questions come in. But that's going to be it for our Learn with Mage series today. We'll be working on having more of these either once or twice a month, usually. Ondřej, I'm sure we'll have you back at some point. We'll find some, different topics to talk about, but this was a really great conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think a lot of people will benefit from it.
Thanks. I hope so. I mean, I didn't say any complex like stuff, but the problem with the complex issues is that they are usually very like driven by the particular company and the situation there, and it's not something that you can sort of reuse or maybe like find interesting. So yeah, I hope I haven't disappointed anybody from the listeners. Okay.
Yep. But I think that's it. I don't see any questions here. If there are any additional questions, they may end up in the LinkedIn or the YouTube chats. So we'll get back to those. If you have any further questions, just put them there, and we will respond to that. And that's going to be it. I'll switch screens, and Ondřej, it's been great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and go Mage team.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.